So like I started this company in 2005 called Sazis, and I was like a kind of a mad mobile technology believer in 2003, 2004, and like everyone was waiting for the iPhone, which nobody knew was going to arrive, but they thought that this huge revolution was going to happen, and people are trying different like applications and different platforms and stuff like that. So got a bit of funding. Actually, I left my job on the back of having got a grant at the time of Channel Development, and my employers blocked me from getting the grant from Channel Development because they said I was stealing their IP. It was just ridiculous or whatever, even though they were going bankrupt and they couldn't pay me at the time. So I ended up in the dole for like 6 months. I gave up a job in London, ended up in the dole, like coding in my parents' house or whatever, like with no money. And I started this. I had this idea about like mobile technology. So for my final year project in college, I won this award because I built these like mobile apps for iPhone or iMode, I think was the one, on WAP and PDAs and stuff like that. And these different people in different industries came to me and said, "Oh my God, you could revolutionize our industry or whatever." And I was like trying to get grants on the back of this stuff, and eventually got a grant about 6 months later from Enterprise Ireland because they weren't part of Channel Development, so they didn't give a shit about my ex-employer who was funded by Channel Development. So I ended up starting this company, and I was trying to make this medical thing for doctors so they could like look at their patient records while they were treating people in the countryside. It's quite bizarre. Like, we're trying to find like solid use cases for mobility in 2004 or 2003, on these XDA things, these awful fucking horrible things. Like how did they miss that one? Microsoft like really messed
for
up.
anyone that's still using one of those, I feel really sorry for you now. You know, like they're speaking of them in nostalgic.
It's like a shoe phone with a big touchscreen on it. They didn't. No, they had an answer phone answer phone call, don't answer phone call, and they had a power button. They didn't even have the home button.
Alright, come back up out of the nerd. Alright, go back.
But anyway, so speaking of like, you know, startups doing the wrong thing or whatever, like I got sucked into this. I was living in Waterford. I moved back to Waterford to get the grant, and no one had a bloody clue about startups in Waterford. Like, no one knew what the fuck was going on. No one had even ever done a startup down there before. And not very much of it. Like, in few places at times, like not after 9 o'clock in the evening. But so I was there. I was like Enterprise Ireland were going to give me this court funding thing, which was like 30 grand or something, and I had no money, and I was on the dole. And they came in for the interview, Judgment Day, and these two like EI people who didn't know what the hell anything was, but they're like, you know, you should not go into healthcare; it's a bad market. And they were kind of right. Like, I wasn't going to get a healthcare contract. I was like 22 years of age with a crazy idea about mobility or whatever. Go and look at something else. So we said, we give you the funding, but you have to find a different market. So I was like, I'll go and find something. So a couple of days later, this is like 2004, 2005. 2005, I found a company. I called into a friend's house, and his dad was like, he was basically employee number 2 at a Cork company called Munster Joinery. And he was like their second salesman they ever hired. So I called into my friend one afternoon, and there's his dad in the sitting room, and he's got like 30 stacks of paper at his fax machine, and he's like, don't fucking touch anything. Like, all my fucking weeks, like, commissions are based on getting these in before 11 o'clock this morning. And I was like, I can put all that on one of these things. And he's like, yeah, right, you can't do that. Like, that's you know, bullshit or whatever. So I said, I can magically make all that stuff just appear in the factory on one of these little computer things. So he was like, you know, tell me more. So I agreed with the Munster Joinery guys, who are fucking builders basically. Like, they're tough fuckers. Like, they're really tough people. Like, you know, like I've been working in the city of London, selling document management to bankers, right? And I'm like used to producing proposals that people would take seriously and read and stuff like that. And then you go down to Ballydesmond on the Cork Kerry border, and you meet the Munster Joinery boys, and this guy was this purchasing manager called Ty. And I was coming down in my suit, like all kind of stressed about selling the software to these guys. And he's there wearing a Munster jersey, with kind of stubbly face Munster jersey, and he's like, sure, you're only a student, like, you know, and he's like picking his nose at a meeting and like waiting under the table and stuff like that. Like, I really got to meet this guy like about 6 months in after I'd spent all my court funding building a prototype on the assumption they were going to buy it from me. So we got it into production anyway. Like we managed to get a quarter.
They signed the license.
A SaaS license. So I got €250,000.
Did they even know what SaaS was?
No, we were renting them. We were renting them hammers basically. We got €250,000 off them over 2.5 years, renting them like a tool for their job or whatever. So that was fantastic. And then like we were just about 2006. The iPhone still hadn't hit, by the way. So like it was like this shitty Windows Mobile thing. We did write lots of extra software to make it work or whatever.
Thank you to Microsoft for sponsoring me. But
they've started buying some sensible stuff.
Yeah. Microsoft are awesome now. And they're super awesome.
Yeah.
They really are.
not super
He's
awesome.
They're not that awesome.
It'll take a pretty big change for them to get that.
But anyway, it all ended up. I just had such bad like people that I encountered that tried to help me that didn't have a clue. So this bad accountant that convinced me I should borrow €100,000 from the bank, personal guarantee to invest for cash flow in the thing or whatever. Like this stuff was happening, and then we started building a new version of the product. We got some investors to invest at the beginning of 2008 on the basis that we were going to raise a big funding round. Late 2008, we had a partner in Germany who were making digital measuring equipment, and they wanted Monster were their biggest single customer in Europe, so they wanted to license technology. And so we were like furiously, like we hired people on the back of, we raised about 250k in total, including bank lending. We hired people, and straight away I knew when I hired them, like I had enough cash flow to pay myself and the other two guys, just about enough to survive based on what we were bringing in. I knew the minute that I raised that money that there was a clock ticking, and that we had to get more customers or raise more money or whatever. And then I remember I got married in July of 2008. I got €100,000 of my last investment check I got from anyone. It was the day before I got married. I went on honeymoon to Cuba with my wife, not on the investment check, but and I came back, and then it was Lehman Brothers collapsed, and then no one wanted a meeting with us, and it was all completely screwed. And then Microsoft dropped Windows Mobile. The whole platform was dropped by Microsoft. So if we wanted to put it on anything else, we had to re-engineer the whole thing like a couple of months later. So yeah. So then I had to fire, then I had to leave go everyone that I hired and pay myself £1,000 a month with having just borrowed I bought a new car which was paying like £800 a month off on it, and managed to convince two of the guys that were there to stay on for a year and try and finish the product. So you learn a lot about your assumptions. There's a lot of times in business you make assumptions about things in the world, and things just kind of keep going and all that kind of stuff. But you learn an awful lot about your assumptions when things go tits up or whatever. Like it's the assumptions you don't even think about. You don't even know sometimes what you're assuming is going to happen.
Someone said once that the difference in business is trying to figure out when you're lying to yourself or you're lying to others. Either way, you're lying, but you need to know, what the real truths are and where they go from. He said an interesting thing there about people. Do you ever figure out, who the wrong people